Welcome to Freedom Uncensored, where I just pretty much lay everything bare about business and life. And for me, it's really about helping you get to achieve the dream life, I suppose, that we're all gunning for when we get into business. And then we very quickly realize that it's not all sunshine and roses. And my experience in my journey has definitely not been sunshine and roses, let me tell you. So today's the first episode I'm kicking off with how would I scale my skin or beauty clinic to 100K months if I started all over again. To really articulate this well, I have to tell you a little bit about my backstory, just so that you can understand why I suppose, not so much qualified, but why I want to tell this story. So basically, I'm a psychologist by profession, and I actually spent 10 years working with violent offenders in prison before I had my awakening. But basically, I just got to the point where, and it probably wasn't an awakening, if I'm to be completely honest, to leave the prison. It actually just happened over time. The prison was becoming privatized in terms of their psychology contracts, and I'd actually started earning money just through contract work rather than being a government employee. But what happened during that process was that I actually started to get the taste for earning money on my own terms. And what I realized was that if I worked really quickly, I could make a lot of money. So, of course, the unrelenting absolute lunatic in me started working like an absolute Trojan. It was just me. And obviously, as a psychologist, all you have is your own intellectual capacity, obviously, to be able to generate money. But it was through that process that I realized that I was working a lot of hours, I was making a lot of money, but I thought there's got to be another way to do this. I actually like working on my own terms. I like being in control of how much money I can actually earn on any given week. But what I didn't like was that I was at the mercy of a contract. So my actual earning capacity was not within my control. It just was dependent on whether I was awarded the next contract or not. And that only came from one place, being the Department of Corrections, right? So it was a pretty vulnerable place to be in and there's still so many people in this world that do contract work and rely on one source of income. Like, to me, it was so scary that in the flick of a switch, if there are no contracts, then I didn't have any capacity to earn money in that way. So it prompted me to want to supplement that income with my own business. And I was enjoying business and the freedom that I got with being able to, the freedom of work my own hours, even though I was working like 60, 70 hours a week, because I was just getting to know what it was like to be able to be in control of how much money you earn or you don't earn. Anyway, so I opened a wellness center, and it was aligned in the sense that I did really want to continue to help people, but I realized that psychology and helping people was quite stigmatized. And that's really unfortunate because I know that psychology is such a powerful force in being able to enrich people's lives and enable them to just live, a life that they're fulfilled or that they're extremely happy with. Psychology for me is really at the centerpiece to all of that. So I thought, why don't I open a wellness center that has services in there that I can hide psychology in? So, of course, I buy a property, spend all my money, fit this thing out, get it classified as a medical center, and I put a yoga studio, a skin clinic, and allied health consulting suites all in the one-stop shop. You're probably thinking, what's a skin clinic got to do with yoga and allied health? Well, in my mind, having been a huge consumer of skin, to me, these were the three fundamental elements that I believed contributed to or could contribute to well-being for a person from my experiences. I was a long time skin consumer. I always had skin treatments. I always had really great home care regimes. I loved it. And I thought, how awesome would it be to own my own skin clinic? But also I saw the power of confidence building and opportunity that type of business brought in working with predominantly women self-care, taking time for themselves, but then also getting amazing results at the same time. Yoga was a bit of a no-brainer because it was that mindfulness meditation component. And then the allied health being, remedial massage, osteopaths, anyone really from an allied health field, we were all housed under the one roof. Anyway, effectively what happened was I opened 3 different businesses because they were from 3 different industries. Yoga was recreation and fitness, allied health was health services, and skin was obviously from the beauty side of things. And I actually had no fucking idea, one, how to run business at all, but also I knew nothing about business operations in any 3 of these industries. So probably for the first 12 months, it was a big blur. Like, I had spent, like, obviously earning really good money in the government and doing contract work. I'd acquired a decent property portfolio. I had a lot of money in savings. My savings were pretty much blown in terms of fitting out. I bought the property that I fit out, which I feel like in hindsight, it's great now because I obviously still own the dwelling and it's now it's now an allied health consulting, making money, all of that. But at the time, I completely overcapitalized. I didn't realize that, the repayments for that, the renovations for getting that fit up into standard, getting that qualified to be a medical centre, permit operation, all the equipment that I needed for the skin clinic, all of the staff that I needed for the yoga studio. Like, literally the first 12 months was representative, I feel, of somebody's worst nightmare. I call it extreme naivety. I just went into it thinking, oh, it'll all be good. Who wouldn't want to come to a wellness center? Like, who wouldn't want to come to a skin clinic? Who wouldn't want to come to, like, a holistic yoga offering that incorporates psychology as well? But, like, who wouldn't want these things? Completely not realizing that you actually need to know how to market, for one. You need to know how to do business to make these things successful. So 12 months in, basically, I spent all of my money. There was a situation where the neighbours were complaining because I built the medical centre in the residential zone, and the parking they were super pissed off with. So someone reported me to the council, and basically the council did a whole audit of the businesses that I was running out of there, and they declared that the skin clinic was actually not covered under a medical centre permit, even though we were providing cosmeceutical grade treatments, and that basically I had to shut the skin clinic down, gone, or move it out. So I was faced with this really difficult decision because, I was trying to build this thing. I had just started working, and I'll tell you that story in a moment as well. But things were starting to move as far as the skin clinic went. And then I had this basically close or move ultimatum provided to me by the council, where I just had to make a decision. So before that, I was doing all of these businesses really badly. I'd come into the beauty industry. People weren't, how can I put it, overly, I won't say inviting, because I feel like that came a bit later on, that people became a little bit sort of resistant to me being in the industry. But when I came into the industry, and again with very extreme naivety, learning all of the things, I tended to take a lot of things at face value. Like, so for me, before I made the decision to really invest in the industry and start learning from people, I'll never forget, I was walking along a road, and obviously, as I explained, the first 12 months of business were really tough for me. And I was literally just walking, doing my morning walk, and I just burst into tears. And my Nana, who I was really close to, she'd passed away, and I just looked up and I said, "Help me, Nana. Like, what do I do?" you know, I'd spent all of my money and I just thought, I'm fucked. Like, how am I going to get myself out of this? And I can't even explain it. Like, I just picked myself up in that moment and I thought, well, I've got a choice. I can quit, which that is not even in my DNA, or I can fucking work this out. And I know a lot of people can relate to this moment where you're just on your knees and you just think, fuck, what have I got myself into? Like, what the fuck have I got myself into? And that was my on my knees moment where I decided I was going to work it out. Anyway, so I was looking around for coaches. I got burnt like big time with a couple of coaches. I got kicked out of a marketing program, an industry specific one. I don't even, to this day, I don't even know why. But the industry was catty. Like, I wasn't the non-cattiest person, and I'm still the non-cattiest person on the planet. But there were dynamics happening and playing out in some of these groups, and some of this shit I still see today, and I just take myself out. I can't be bothered. Like, anyway, this group that I was in was really where I was getting all of my marketing strategy from. And I was like, this shit is not working for me. Like, am I the only person here that this stuff is not working for? And I'm in this group asking questions about Facebook ads and what I come to know now is probably really high level questions, but it wasn't being really met with open arms. And in fact, I think what actually started to happen was people were sort of looking at me thinking I was weird, or why was I asking questions about Facebook ads? And maybe I was in the wrong group, but basically I got kicked out. My money was refunded. There was no explanation. And there were rumbles in that group before I got kicked out about someone in the industry that was a bit of a pirate, like a bit of a, and I won't even go, like, I would never name this person, but there was a lot of bad blood and energy around this person in the industry. But what they were saying was that basically this guy was a specialist in Facebook ads, digital marketing, but he was also just a complete lunatic, basically. Anyway, that was the first time I'd heard of this guy. And so I'd had my moment. I'd been kicked out of the marketing group. I'm hands in the air to heaven, asking what the fuck do I do? And then literally this guy starts coming up in my newsfeed. So I start looking into this guy. He knows stuff about Facebook ads. I'm starting to learn about digital marketing, and I'm starting to realize that the answer to my problems at a basic fundamental level is that I needed to know how to find clients for all of my businesses. I needed to know how to bring people in the front door, because that fundamentally is the problem. If you don't have sales, you don't have clients. If you don't have clients, you don't have sales. If you don't have sales, you don't have a business. So I threw myself into learning the ins and outs of digital marketing. And I connected with this guy. This guy, I will add that he is completely disgraced now. I come to learn some very big lessons with him. But I have to say that his marketing skill and his understanding of the digital platforms like Facebook ad marketing and organic strategy and things like that were second to none. Nobody had this information in the industry. Everyone was still doing fucking email campaigns. Like, and it just wasn't working for me, and it wasn't working quick enough because I was a startup. I was burning money and I didn't have time for slow burn strategies. So I fell into the learning and the crafting of low barrier to entry offers, which is basically a volume marketing strategy. So if I was to scale my clinic to 100K again, this is the way that I would do it, particularly when you're in a startup, learning the low barrier to entry model. And the funny thing is, and I'm going to introduce you to a character called Debbie, because Debbie Downer, and again, my experiences in the industry were quite interesting, because what I saw was a lot of the information was coming from Debbie's. So Debbie Downers, like people that were like, discounting, you know, for losers, like discounting ruins your business, like it just attracts all the brokies, like, and that's the reason why I'd actually stayed away from that strategy. And the very same reason why I was hemorrhaging money, because I was engaging in slow burn marketing strategies that were outrunning how much money I had in my freaking bank account, right? So I needed quick fire strategies, and the low barrier to entry structure was the thing that effectively saved my businesses. It saved the yoga studio, it saved the skin clinic. Obviously, when I was forced to move out of the wellness center, I had to do a complete shop fit and put it into a commercial shop front. I had to sell a house for that because I'd run out of money. But then it was just at the time that I was starting to get clear Facebook ad marketing, and I was starting to engage in volume marketing strategies, which meant that I was a little bit more confident with selling another house, getting some more cash flow through investing in a commercial shop front, knowing that I did now have the ability to push the button and bring clients into the business and do that quite systematically. It was not hard to do that. So there I was being mentored. I really crafted the art of digital marketing, low barrier to entry strategy, and I was able to fill my businesses full of clients. Now, obviously, there's got to be strategy behind that. And again, I didn't realize at the time, and the guy that I was working with, he didn't give a shit about that either. But he didn't give a shit about the strategy behind the low barrier to entry offer. All he gave a shit about was, let's just fill the books. And that's what he effectively did for people. He filled people's books and then didn't care about the businesses, and it broke the businesses, and it broke my business as well. So then even though I had clients, I had a new problem. Now, often I refer to this as an upgrade in problems. So my consult was shit, right? So I wasn't retaining clients. My client journey wasn't where it needed to be. The operations were unveiling lots of vulnerabilities in my business through bringing in volumes of people. There's nothing like testing how strong the operations are of your business by injecting a really huge amount of new clients. It's honestly the ultimate test, because it very quickly shows you all of the vulnerabilities that you have. Vulnerabilities around consult, vulnerabilities around skill set of your team members, vulnerabilities around the client experience, vulnerabilities around operations, things like appointment management, appointment confirmation, deposit systems, nurturing leads from inquiry through to booking. Like, all of that gets unearthed when you bring truckloads of new clients into your business. So it was kind of like, cool, I had clients, but I still wasn't making the money that I should have been, because there were all of these other problems being unearthed in my business. So the next kind of area of focus became the consultation process, because your sales process is pivotal to you being able to generate profit. You can bring a client to you, but you still might not make money unless you consult them in the right way. And that's where the motivational method of consultation was born. I'd pretty much kicked out all of my psychological ideas when I came into business life, thinking, well, I don't need that anymore. I just need to learn how to be a business person. And I very quickly realized that my psychology underpinnings actually had a lot to do with business success. Right. So in the digital marketing space, copywriting, putting together offers, it's all psychology. So I put my psychology to work in the different facets of the business. So I did it in the digital marketing, and it worked, and the clients came in. I looked at the consult. Now, I had the Debbie Downers telling me, oh, just educate people and do a really good skin analysis and they'll buy. And I believed that for a really long time, until I realized it didn't fucking work. Like, we were training, I was getting my team externally trained. I'd invested a lot of money in terms of their clinical skills and up-leveling them. And, as far as I was concerned, they were educating the shit out of people. I couldn't find any flaws in that. But the clients were just walking straight out the door. They weren't taking home care prescriptions. They weren't investing in treatment plans. We'd cleaned all of that up. I started running more of an allied health model when it came to the skin treatment side of things. And that was working as far as the results went. having people on home care prescriptions, like in psychology, we prescribe and we recommend. So I lifted up those concepts and I imported them into the consulting that was happening with the team members and the clients, and we were able to get really good results, but our retention was shit, right? People just lost interest, they lost motivation, and I thought, well, how do I fix that? Like, and I just went back to, well, this is a behaviour change process similar to the violent offenders that I was working with in the prison. How stupid of me. We're not even working on motivation. We're just educating, putting things in front of people, and we're hoping that they're motivated enough to buy and invest in these things. So that set me on the pathway to creating. I'd realised that for us to be successful in the consultation process, I had to marry motivational interviewing, which is something that I'd been using for many, many years when I was engaging people in psychological interventions, even though these are people that wanted help. They also needed motivation to be able to overcome the barriers that they needed to overcome to live the lifestyles that we're looking for. And the clients were exactly the same. You know, so I injected that into the consultation process, and then we just watched our retention. We were bringing in clients and we were retaining. And this is where the money started to show up, right? So we've got ability to market and bring in new clients, ability to consult in a motivational manner, which then led to high levels of retention and simplified consulting as well. Not all of this Debbie Downer, educate, confuse the shit out of people and hope that they buy stuff, because they just did it. And I stand by that to this day, that we're too fucking overcomplicated in the way that we're consulting clients. And what I know is, in a buying situation, a confused client does nothing. They just walk away, right? So turning on the tap for the clients through digital marketing, low barrier to entry model, learning how to consult using motivational methodology, right? That then laid the foundation for them for me to then to start to build profit, right? And in the back end, it was building systems of, you know, well, how do I increase, you know, the level? We had lots of inquiry. I had 2 full-time assistants on our Facebook inbox. There was that much inquiry coming through, plus a front of house, just managing front of house. So 3 administration people managing the level of inquiry that I had coming through Facebook ads. Insane. Built out all of those systems, mastered the art of conversion there, systemized all of that, you know. But again, it was that you keep upgrading in problems. Lots of inquiry. Oh, a lot of them aren't converting. Fix that. Okay, now they're converting. A lot of them aren't showing up. Fix that. Okay, they're showing up. Now we're not retaining them. Fix that. Hang on a minute. Why aren't they taking retail? Fix that. Through the console, right? And then the next stage was about, okay, we've got clients, we're retaining clients. How do we now actually produce really good profit? And this really sat in the performance of the team members and learning different frameworks of one-to-one meetings and asking questions for high performance, creating scoreboards, right? So making sure that there was a really high levels of accountability to the consultation process, but also to the operations. So for me, it was not just about building operating procedures. It was also about building in layers of accountability to that. Because what I realized was that you can train people, but just because they're trained, it doesn't mean they do what they're supposed to. You know, and I often say to my clients now that your team members are not set and forget. Just because you've told them or you trained them, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to continue with that activity for the long term. In fact, it doesn't happen. It actually doesn't happen. You know, so it's obviously then about operations and streamlining performance through one-to-one meetings and getting really good at that, right? So I think for me, there's so much to learn when it comes to business life, you know, and it has not been an easy journey for me. And I think that one of the biggest diversionary challenges that I had was listening to the Debbie Downers in the industry say shit to me like, just educate and they'll buy. That was bullshit. Or just make really pretty marketing campaigns and do some emails and put up a promotion and people will buy it. That was bullshit. You know, oh, you're a startup, you know, and startup business is only really the first 12 months of business. If you're still not making money 2 years later, which I didn't really start making money till about 2.5 years in, because I had to learn all of this shit, right? You know, but I was surrounded by Debbies in the industry going, oh, you know, you're a startup, you shouldn't really expect to be making money at this stage. Oh, just educate and they'll buy. That was bullshit. Oh, just do some really nice email campaigns and, you know, and never discount your services because that just cheapens. It was just bullshit. Right? Another bullshit thing that a Debbie told me once was, oh, January and February really quiet. Yeah, no, that just happens. And it's like, so I created some marketing strategies just to test that, which ended up turning my January and February into the biggest months that I'd ever had. But I feel like if you listen to the Debbies too much, like I did when I first started business, and there's plenty of them in this industry, there's a shit ton of Debbies. In fact, there's more Debbies than 1%ers. I call 1%ers like the elite, the people that like get shit done, they execute, they have courage, they lean in when stuff gets hard, like they find the answers, they keep going. To me, they are the absolute 1%ers in this industry. 99.9% of the industry are Debbies, right? And that's no offense to anyone out there, but literally, if you're sitting in a business that is not making money, particularly for the poor Debbies that feel like the only way that they can make money is to service the fucking clients, which to me, when you've got team members, is a complete recipe for disaster. In fact, you know, Debbie's hanging out in a treatment room servicing all of her clients while old mate team members are floating around just trying to figure shit out. But Debbie's like, but I've got to make the money. It's like, yeah, but then don't have team, dude. Right? Debbie says, don't discount. Debbie says all of these things. Debbie says, is anyone else quiet? And I was completely enveloped in this shit. And it pretty much stagnated my process for 2 full years and nearly sent me bankrupt. So if you take away anything from how I would build my skin clinic to 100K months, which I got to by employing all of the strategy that I just mentioned to you before, don't fucking listen to Debbie. Don't find other people that are struggling the same as you. Find people that are nailing it, man. Find the 1%ers. Find the 1%ers. Hang out with them. Right? Because when I actually started to find the 1%ers, like, don't get me wrong, the marketing dude, who was absolutely the shittest person on the planet, he was a 1%er when it comes to marketing. Right? And I owe that marketing knowledge and that start to him, even though he wasn't a very nice person, right? So find the 1%ers, piss the Debbies off, right? Because they're going to hold you back. And then employ strategies that are going to keep moving you forward. Learn the marketing strategies to be able to turn on and off the client numbers, the new client acquisition. Right? If you don't know how to find clients and make sales, you don't have a business, right? You need to be able to refine that skill set to make it a reality. Having a really strong consult that works on motivation, using a motivational methodology, and not educating the shit out of people and hoping that they'll just buy because people get overwhelmed. Right? And then fixing the upgrades in problems, the operations, the other things that unveil themselves as a result of you up-leveling your business and, more importantly, up-leveling yourself as a human. They're my lessons, guys. Take it away.